Are We Human? By Stanley v. LaDow, read by Dave Marsland of Cardiff Theosophical Society. Mark Twain suggested that when Adam named the animals of Eden, he called the frog a frog because it looked like a frog. One can only hope that the frog has remained true to its prototype. In like manner, we call ourselves human because we are convinced that we look human. But the title of man is the proudest and noblest upon earth. We must do more than look human to retain it. What is man? Above the ancient sanctuary it was written, "Man, know thyself." In the mysteries within the sanctuary, it was shown how man can only know himself by becoming himself. The neophyte learned that he was not yet man, but an aspirant towards manhood. By aspiration he placed himself, as it were, under the form or species of man. His potential humanity could become actual. All this seems remote to our modern thought, for we find it difficult to conceive of earthly things as imperfect realizations of their archetypes or species in heaven. Professional thinkers still use the good old word species, but not in the good old sense. Thus the biologist groups and classifies living beings into species, but he means nothing exalted by that term. It merely signifies for him a group of living things which have certain properties and functions in common. Species in biology are convenient figments imposed by the mind upon the multitudinous forms and aspects of physical nature. They are names, not things. Nomina non res, in the language of the medieval nominalist. In ancient times, another view prevailed. The species, the prototype, the divine idea, was held to be more important and more real than the individuals manifesting it, for it was at once their goal and their motive power. All things aspired towards their appointed ends, towards the expression or revelation of their species. Even the stone, said Aristotle, yearns to become a doorstep. If we agree with the biologist that species are names, not things, it is useless to discuss the question how human we are. We are human, just as we are by definition. The species man is nothing but the name of a wholly imaginary collective unit, the sum of all the creatures already defined as human. However, according to the ancient doctrine, man as a collective unit is real, not imaginary. Humanity is the state of being towards which we aspire, not that state in which we are now. If we agree with the ancients, it must be obvious that we are not yet in any real sense human beings. At first sight, the ancient doctrine seems dogmatic and fantastic, and to contradict itself. How can one become deliberately that which one cannot know until one has become it? But it was part of the tradition of the mysteries that there are and have always been those who do know. The adept, the hierophant, the initiative who gave instructions to the neophyte knew the doctrine to be true because he had lived it. The neophyte was not asked to accept it upon blind faith, but to follow the initiate by testing it through experience, by proving it through life. It is our present unwillingness to make the necessary experiments that causes the doctrine to seem so remote and dissociated from facts. Consider what that old occultist meant, who said that man is the thaumaturge of the earth, that is to say, the magical power which has built and directed the earth. For the ancients conceived that not only these so-called human races, but all sublunar things and creatures are informed and awakened to life by the radiance of the heavenly man, who is himself the radiance of the creative Logos. He is the archetype and model of the earthly, as the Adam Kadmon of the Kabbalah is the forerunner of the Adam formed of clay. He emanates a world from his nature, and again he draws it back into himself. But although he transcends our imagination so greatly, we are warned not to fall into the error of thinking of him as an abstraction, like some bare trellis to be covered in a future conceivably remote with the flowers and fruits of a self-conscious humanity. The heavenly man, the Christos, is the living source of our life as well as its goal. Omne vivum ex vivo, all life comes from life. His consciousness has been compared to that of a host. It overflows the barriers of personal existence, and all the members of the host share in it equally. It is that oversoul of which Emerson has said that every man is an inlet to the same and to the whole of the same. It is our destiny, if tradition speak true, for one and all of us finally to be glorified by union with that all-compassing life of the oversoul. But tradition states also that there never was a time since the first foundation of the earth when there were no sons of man, when the oversoul was not fully self-conscious. It is said that the earth was informed by a host who had already become men in other manvantaras upon earlier chains of globes, and that from the beginning of our planetary evolution these elder brothers have shown the way for the earth-born races to become men in their turn. We tread upon a path blazed for us by our forerunners. If there had been no such forerunners, there could have been no earth.